just because I don't know how to do something, it doesn't mean that I don't do it. Contrary to many massive amounts of emails that I've gotten, I am not a natural born guitar player or a musician or songwriter of any kind. When the first time I ever picked up a guitar, I was 7 years old. I bugged my parents to get me a guitar. I just wanted to play some loud guitar music, and I finally got a guitar for my not my birthday, but for Christmas when I was 7 years old. I tried it for 5 minutes. It was hard. I put it down, and I didn't really pick it up again until I was 16. Then at 16, I had just broken my foot in a bad way along one of the joints in my heel, so I was going to not be able to walk or do anything, play with my friends for a couple of months. It was really bad. So that guitar was sitting in my closet. I just decided, all right, let's do it. Probably had a little bit more patience at 16 years old than I did when I was 7 too. But at 16, even when I picked that thing up, I could not play a darn thing. My fingers were hurting. I couldn't figure anything out. I spent, because I didn't have anything else to do, and summer vacation was just upon us and things like that, and I wasn't working yet. I was 16 years old, so I had a lot of time. I spent anywhere between 8 and 16 hours every single day. I was just that dedicated to learning how to play that thing once and for all. And 8 to 16 hours every day. Imagine, just think of that. It was a consistent 8 to 16 hours every day. I was on that guitar, trying to figure it out, trying to play it. And it didn't even begin to sound like any kind of, even the most simplest song in the world, I could not play until probably a month or two later. And believe me, it was just a simple song and still didn't even sound good. It just started to barely resemble music. And a few more months went by, and a friend showed me something, and power chords, ooh, So then that took me a bit further, and then I think it was about a year until I started taking lessons from a guy who had been classically trained professionally, even had a college degree in music theory. So I started learning music theory and how to play my guitar, applied music theory on my guitar. It was just a completely wonderful experience, and it took me a long time, consistent effort, hours every day. And then finally, 2 or 3 years later, I actually started to consider myself a guitar player. Imagine that, 2 or 3 years later. So by no stretch of the imagination am I a natural guitar player. And I appreciate all the comments because I make it look so effortless. And when I'm at the top of my game, it is actually kind of effortless now. It's easy now, but that's only because I put in all that consistent work in the beginning because I wasn't a natural. It was a challenge. I wanted it badly enough that I was consistent with what I had to do to get to become a good guitar player, and I just did it. So pick a task, any skill, anything you've ever wanted to be good at, and practice it for hours every single day and see where you are a year from now, 2 years, 3 years from now, or 10, 15 years from now. You're going to be a genius at that skill. It doesn't even matter what it is or how badly you suck at it at first. You're going to grow into a genius, period. And that's how I got really good at guitar. And then look at the bigger picture here, because this is where I'm really going with this. So hopefully you've made it this far in the video and you're going to keep watching. But the bigger picture is this. Every challenge that you're faced with, you try to do something, there's a gap that you recognize between where you're at now, where you want to be, and there's this gap, and there's some challenges, some hurdles and stuff like that. It's all a challenge. All of that stuff represents an opportunity to either break down and not get the skills you need to get what you want, or to make a breakthrough and get the skills that you need to be able to get what you want. And that's all about perspective. A challenge is all about perspective. So what is your perspective when you're met with a challenge? Do you break down or do you break through? If it's something that means something to you, I hope you break through. And if you haven't in the past, leave that in the past. Don't carry that around because it'll keep you down like a weighted treasure chest, heavy, filled with all your crap from the past, just weighing you down. Just get rid of that stuff. Use it to fuel a different future, but other than that, just get rid of it. And change how you respond to challenges beginning today and what you do about it tomorrow and so on and so forth. And let's just pick apart some examples here, stuff I hear all the time because I'm in the business of helping people grow from wherever it is they've been planted. That's what I do now. So here's the common ones. I don't have any money. I don't know how to make extra money. So I'm not gonna even get started. And that's typically how people respond to the money challenge. They do nothing about it. They keep doing what they've always been doing, and it's no surprise they keep getting what they've always got. Look at health. That's the other big issue. Money and health problems and terrible toxic relationships. Those three things and all the other problems that exist in our lives and the chaos and the unrest seem to stem from those three things. Not enough money, and we're in a lot of debt. That's money related. And what else? There's health and toxic poisonous relationships. So your health, you don't know what to do. You don't know how to get healthy. I think most people have an idea of getting healthy and physical activity and eating better, but beyond that, a lot of people just don't know what to do, or who knows? There's something blocking you from getting what you need to get what you want. And maybe it's the education, maybe it's the inspiration. Who knows what it is? Whatever it is, it's a challenge, and that challenge again it's your perspective. Is it an opportunity for you to break down or break through? What are you going to do to break through? I would recommend getting in touch with somebody who has what you want. Let's say that you're chronically diseased with, diabetes. That's a common one. And it's type 2 diabetes, and you know some people who used to have type 2 diabetes, they no longer do. Find out what they did and do what they do. That's a real generalized thing to do, but man, that's an excellent way to make a breakthrough, isn't it? Just because you don't know what to do now doesn't mean that you don't get started and at least relentlessly search for the knowledge, look for opportunity and act on it, and just do it. And never quit. That time is going to pass by anyway. So let that time that's going to pass by anyway promote you rather than expose you for making a slight daily error in judgment and doing nothing or doing the wrong thing over and over again. And so money and health. Okay, money. A lot of people are in debt right now. In fact, almost everyone is in debt. If you, even a lot of people that think they aren't in debt are in debt. If you have a mortgage, you're in debt, and that's not good debt. That's a liability. And a lot of people confuse owning a house as an asset. It's not. If you owe money on that house is a liability. Same thing for your car. Same thing, anything that you don't own outright, anything that the bank has a stake in, or the lender, or the debtor, whoever, the creditor, the bill collector, all that stuff, man. You don't own it, they do. So those are not assets, those are liabilities, and it's taking some of your peace away. It's causing you stress. It's adding chaos to your life. So how do you get out of debt? And how do you increase your income? How do you relieve maybe a tough job situation? All of these are challenges, and they're very common challenges. How do you not feel the squeeze of the economy anymore? Or better yet, how do you turn a very bad, negative economy into an amazing, explosively growth opportunity for you? How do you turn that around? That's a challenge. It's one worthwhile taking up. You cannot control what the economy does. You have no control over the value of the dollar. So instead of worrying about those things that you have no control over and trying to change those things, you should focus on what you do have control over. You have 100% control over the value of one thing. And this is the one thing that is the most commonly missed, that nobody invests in, and that's a tragedy. And that one thing that you have absolute control over the value in is that piece of real estate in between your ears. You want to get out of debt, you want to grow your money for whatever it is that you need those resources for, then you've got to increase the value of that piece of real estate between your ears. And that's something that you have absolute 100% control over the value over. That also represents a new challenge. How do you grow the value of yourself to today's marketplace, not the marketplace 30 years ago, because it's totally changed, but as it's relevant now, today? How do you do that? Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. That's key right there. And then you're going to go after the knowledge, the opportunity. You're going to find out ways to reverse your bad health and turn it into good health, and your bad debt, turn it into good debt, and get out of debt and grow your income. And maybe you want to feed 1,000 starving babies in Africa, or right here in the United States, or wherever. Maybe you want to save the whales. Maybe there's some cause that beats true to your heart, that you need lots of money for. That's what you're going to attach a purpose to the money. I talk a lot about money, but it has nothing to do with money. If money is your vision ain't big enough, and you're going to quit. But if you attach something meaningful to the money, because money is a resource, you can feed many starving people, you can save the whales, you can take care of the elderly whose kids have forsaken them, you can get involved in reversing the trend of the sex trade stuff that's going on. And some of that even happens right here in America. It's not just over in Romania and wherever else. But you can get involved in that stuff, and you can provide resources. If you've got enough resources, enough money, you can make a difference. Does any of that stuff beat true to your heart? Any of those causes? You need money. And, once you know what your purpose is, your mission on this planet, what you were here for, something bigger than yourself, then now you have attached a purpose to making lots and lots of money. And now you're probably going to have the drive to go out there and get it. You're probably going to have the drive to have that perspective of a challenge as an opportunity to break through instead of break down. Because if your vision is only money, or your vision is something weak, or maybe it's just all about you and not helping anybody else, then your vision ain't big enough. You're probably going to quit. And for whatever reason, I had a big enough vision about being a really awesome guitar player, at least what I perceived to be awesome. It was big enough to sit in my room all by myself, all lonely, for between 8 and 16 hours every day for, gosh, a few years I did that until I lightened up a bit. It was, for whatever reason, it was that important to me. So, and you got to have the same outlook on anything that's going to require hard work and discipline and some immense challenges, struggles, and even some setbacks, stuff that sort of sets you back a little bit before you can move ahead again. Stuff like that, it's inevitable, it's going to happen. If your vision ain't big enough, you will perish. That's the old saying, right? He without vision will surely perish. And it's true. I see it all the time in my business of helping people grow from where they've been planted. They got a weak vision, then as soon as they get their noses bloodied, so to speak, they're out. They're like, see ya, this ain't worth it. And if your vision ain't big enough, then it's not worth it. If your vision is bigger, then whatever happens to you, then it's worth it. So there you go. I tied this. I found a way to tie in my love for music and playing guitar into a big, encompassing moral lesson, something that is a much bigger picture beyond just playing guitar and going through that challenge and that struggle to make the breakthrough to be able to do those arpeggio sweeps and all the linear picking and all that stuff that I do. Wow, man, that's a lot of fun. The reason I like to play guitar so much because I'm an expressive guy. I love expressing myself. You can probably see it in my YouTube videos, how I get kind of animated, my face expressions and my hands and my voice tonality changing and all that stuff. And music for me is just something that appeals to me. It speaks to my heart. It's like my heart is singing through my arms, down my fingers, and through my guitar, and you got this wonderful noise coming out, and it's great. It's a tool of choice, I guess, for expressing myself beyond just I don't know what everybody else has, a voice box and your vocal cords and being able to talk and make face expressions and everything like that. It's just something else to do to express myself. I love it. The reason I make these vlogs is because I want to express myself. If I just purely wanted to give you guys information, then maybe I would look like this in my video vlogs, and I would sound like this, very monotone-like, and everything would be very structured and sequential and realistic and convenient, and then wow, nobody would make it through my vlogs, and that would just be totally boring. So there's a lot of heart that goes into all this stuff, and speaking of heart and passion and fire and not always doing what's convenient, but going for what's worthwhile versus what's easy. Going for what's easy over worthwhile sucks. Toss that out. That's not how you're going to get past a challenge and conquer problems and find solutions. Go for worthwhile. And, if you have the right perspective of a challenge, what I believe the right perspective of a challenge, which is to make the breakthrough rather than break down, then you better believe it's going to be all about what's worthwhile and not what's easy. And speaking of easy, by the way, that's a great delusion people have. A lot of people suffer the delusion of whatever is convenient right now, whatever is seems the easiest right now is just overall it's going to be easy and things are going to be great right now, but then overall in the long run, medium run, sometimes even in the short term too, it turns out to be a lot more difficult if you just put off your gratification just maybe for a moment, maybe depending on what it is, a couple years, I don't know, then you might find that in the long run it was so worthwhile to just do the work now. The business that I'm in, the home-based business, a home-based business is a great example of that. The whole idea with a home-based business is that you work hard for a couple years doing something that most people just are not willing to do because they don't have the discipline and the guts and the desire and all that stuff. But then, because you put in that couple years or so of doing things that most people just aren't willing to do, you get to spend the rest of your life doing stuff that nobody gets to do. Is that worthwhile? Heck yeah, it is. Is it worthwhile to just take easy right off the bat and just fly by the seat of your pants during that couple years or so, and then the rest of your life you're just a slave to the grindstone? No, it's not. Taking that easy road is the delusion that most people fall prey to because they don't take the time to develop themselves and search for the knowledge, make these discoveries so that they can finally learn how to get what they want and then apply what they've learned so that they get what they want. And a big part of that is delaying some gratification, something our culture has an enormous problem with, man. Most people just want the instant fix right now, and in the end, it turns out to be the most difficult thing they've ever done. Nothing that resembles anything even remotely close to easy, because they didn't have the attention span that lasted longer than a 15-minute goldfish. Maybe that's the problem of a lot of people, the attention span. I don't know. I don't know what it is. And you can't, speaking of attention span, you can't exactly use ADD, ADHD, and all these other labels as reasons for why you believe you can't get what you want. There's plenty of people. In fact, there's a lot of leaders that are perceived to be natural born leaders who have been diagnosed with ADD and have been labeled educably retarded because they had to repeat the first grade or whatever. I repeated the first grade once. I was educably retarded. And look at me now. You know, I'm financially free and financially independent. I make these crazy video vlogs that apparently offend some people and move other people to change their lives. It's just incredible. So I'm telling you, man, that's another example of perspective. You know, you've got this label that somebody has given you, or maybe you've given it yourself. So what are you going to do about that? How are you going to respond to that? It's not what happens to you or the labels that you're given. It's what you do about what happens to you. You can't necessarily change the facts of a scenario, right? But how are you going to respond to those facts of a scenario that you have no control over? Are you going to use those facts as an excuse as to why you can't get what you want? Or are you going to use those facts as an excuse why you must get what you want? So you just keep on lining up those excuses. All you need is one, and you'll fail. Or if your perspective is the other, keep lining up all those excuses. All you need is one good one, a perfect reason why you must do it, and you'll succeed. And those labels too, man. You're right, I don't know you. I can't judge you, that's why I don't judge anybody. I also don't judge because I don't want to be judged. But you're right, I don't know you. So how long you want to stay there? Whatever's going on, whatever label you've given yourself or somebody else has given you, I don't know you. But how long you want to stay there? When do you want to start growing, now or later? When do you want to grow from wherever it is that you've been planted? Are you broke? Are you chronically diseased by lifestyle? Are you chronically diseased by something you have no control over? What are you going to do about what's happened to you? What are you going to do about not only what's happened to you that you have no control over, but what about the mistakes that you've made in your past? What are you going to do about those for today and tomorrow? It's all about how you respond to that. That's how you design the life of your dreams. You live by design or you live by default. What's your perspective on that? Are you going to live by design or are you going to live by default? And if you're living by default already, are you going to get a new perspective now? Maybe start living by design. Start that change today. I hope so. It's worth it. Put off some gratification. People that go for the instant gratification, they live empty, despairing lives. Quiet lives of disparity. It's not good. And most people do that. And one last philosophy I will give you. You've heard this before if you watch my other video vlogs. Odds are, anyway, you've heard this. Find out what most people are doing and run the other direction. Do the complete opposite. 98% of the country, of the people in this country, end up either dead or dead broke by the ages of 62 to 65, depending on their friends, family, and the federal government as their main source of income. 98%. Wow. So those other 2%, you know, you want to find out what they're doing, what they believe in, and let them sell you on what they're doing. Don't let the 98% sell you on what they're doing. Don't follow them. Don't speak like they speak. Don't specialize in what they specialize in, to quote Jim Rohn. Don't do what they do. Don't believe what they believe. And don't let them sell you on their garbage. And if you're part of that 98%, you can make that switch over, man. You don't have to stay there. It's available to anybody. You know, the percentages, there's always going to be a 98% versus a 2%, and that's not even the bigger picture. The bigger picture and the most important thing is that you just constantly become the best you that you can possibly be. You have a potential of greatness. Everybody does. I believe in everybody, but I trust in very few people, because very few people are actually going to go for it and design the life of their dreams and not cheat themselves or the God of their choosing on their potential. Most people will cheat themselves on their potential. That's not good. So don't do that. And your validation proof positive that you don't want to cheat yourself out on your own potential is the fact that most people are, and you want to do the complete opposite of what most people are doing. If you do what they do, you're going to have what they have. You'll be either dead or dead broke by the age of 62 to 65, depending on friends, family, and the federal government for the main source of your income. And you'll probably have multiple chronic diseases brought on by lifestyle choice, because that's what most people have. So don't do what they do. Don't buy the food and eat the food that they eat. that's a big one right there. You could solve all your health problems probably if you just don't eat the same kind of food that everyone else is eating. Wow. You can really hit a lot of burns with one stone on that one. You really can. So to close this up, If you want to know more about what I'm doing or more about me, or you got questions, hit me up. Just connect with me privately. I am not going to try to sell you on my home-based business. But if you want to know about it, we'll ask each other some questions. If this thing turns you on and you've decided that you want to grow a home-based business for yourself, for your reasons that are personal to you, and learn how to do it from somebody who's already done it, that's important. Find out who has what you want and do what they do. Learn from them. If that's what you want to do, then, so long as you can check maybe an ego that you might have at the door. If you have an ego, you've got to check that at the door. And number two, you just got to follow directions. That's important. And we'll work together. And we will start seeing your goals. And it'll be a good thing. It'll be a very good thing. It'll be worthwhile versus going for easy. It's going to be work, but it'll be worthwhile. And I'll have you do it in your spare time, because I realize most people have jobs and families and you don't have a lot of spare time. But whatever spare time you have, we will make it work, so long as there's no ego getting in the way and you follow directions. And if this isn't for you, what I'm doing, then just promise yourself you'll never give up and you keep on looking for whatever it is that you got to find to get what you want. That's what I want you to do ultimately. And when you do find what it is that you want and you get what you want and you have all the success, even if it's not with me and what I'm doing, I'd still love to hear about it. I brag about people all the time who are doing really good. People that score victories over tough challenges. People that maybe came out of poverty and grew up in a welfare family who's now financially free and independent and giving back and paying it forward. I brag about people all the time, even if it's nothing to do with my own business. I love that kind of stuff. And I want to see that kind of thing happen for you too. The world will be better off if you rise up, take care of yourself, and serve others. The world will be better off. More people need to step up and do that. So let's do that. That's my closing. It's my closing note. Let's rise up, step up in a world that desperately needs more people who are willing to grow into strong, powerful, influential leaders that want to serve. Let's do that. Take care.